Well, good morning, everybody. This is day 3 of the Mahons Festival right here in Ireland. You can probably tell by the background that I'm in a very different location from what I've been in the last couple of days. I've actually drawn Killardees today, Killardees 11. Now, this is an area that I am quite familiar with. And, you know, whilst it's taken me an hour and a half to kind of get here and get all my gear to my peg, I am confident of a few bites. Now, I'm going to show you the peg in a minute. It's very, very windy out there, which is why I've retreated to the cover here, just to give you a bit of an update. Yesterday, I ended up second in the section again. However, it was a very low weight section again. 3 kilos 800 won the section. That was the lad on my left on the end peg. So he had 3 kilos 800. I had exactly 3 kilos. Which was obviously good for where I was, but again, it's a low weight section, and this is all about weight. And you know, this is when, you know, I've got to be honest, this is when these sorts of competitions can be so frustrating, you know, because you know you need to be getting those weights to get up that leaderboard. But if you're not drawing the sections where they are catching those weights, then there's not a lot you can do about it other than just try and catch the fish that are in front of you. However, you know, that a lot of that I think may be reflected in the rotation. You know, the rotation that I've been in on the last 2 days. They haven't been any mega weights from that rotation, really, only the odd weight. So I'm hoping now that with 3 days left, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, these are the better weight sections where hopefully I'm going to catch a few fish and start climbing up that leaderboard now. So yesterday, even though I was second in that bit there where I was, I still dropped about 9 or 10 places overall because it was a low weight section again. So I think currently I'm in about 54th now, which is horrendous. But you know, there's not a lot you can do unless, you know, you're getting on fish. Now, today, Killardees is very, very different. There were some fish caught here yesterday. I'm going to show you the peg in a minute, but just to give you a quick background, I think yesterday this peg threw up about 8 kilos. The peg on the right was 11 kilos, and then the peg to the right of that, or the angler on his right, I think that won the section with 16 kilos. So there have been some fish feeding here, which is great. So that's all I'm going to do. Now, I've got a bit of a history on these pegs, which I'll tell you about in a moment. But there's a bit of a wind blowing, so it is going to be a little bit awkward out there with the sound and stuff. So, but don't forget, I am filming this trip for the YouTube Catch Fishing channel as a proper video. So whilst some of this footage might be very rough and ready, there will be a polished film next week for you on that channel. So let me just quickly show you the peg. So there we are, peg 11, sat out in the water. Okay, so I've got 3 rods set up. I've got 2 rods set up for my longer line, which is 45 metres, and then I've got a shorter bomb line that I'm going to be fishing as well. I've got the groundbait bucket out there because I'm going to be feeding balls of groundbait on a short line, so I've got plenty of groundbait mixed up. Same mix of the So Natural Black and Skimmer, mixed 2 to 1. Hopefully you can hear me all right. As you can see, it's very, very windy. I've got Andy Leathers on my right. I was next to him on day 1. He was on my left on the end peg. He's on my right today. And he is intending on fishing the pole, which is why he's waded as far out as what he has. And it looks like it's missed 2, or the pegging is peg 2, miss 1, peg 2, miss 1. So that means peg 10 to my left isn't in, and peg 13 to Andy's right isn't in. So as you can see, that wind, to be honest, every time I've been here, this wind has been in exactly the same direction. I've got a count out there of just over 9 seconds, and that's where I'm going to kick off. And as you can see there, I have got the tripod set up, and that's because, like I said, I am filming this for a full-length film for you. Just the usual bits of extra equipment here, like 3 rocks there to hold the tripod in place, all right, and the water bucket there holding the roost in place, and that's what we have to do on these windy venues. So it's a featureless peg, loads of water to have a go at, really deep, wild fishing, and I'm going to base everything today around what I've learned on these pegs previously. So these pegs, I have got a history on these pegs. I think this peg, I've drawn peg 10 twice, and I've drawn peg 11 once, I think. I've won my section twice off one of these pegs, and the other one I was second in my section, and that was only beaten by, I think it was Mark Pollard down on the jetty, which is down in the low numbers. So when I've fished here before, I've done well, you know, but just by being very positive, quite active, and I've always caught hybrids. Now, in the past, I've actually caught some roach short as well, just by flicking balls of groundbait in with a catapult, groundbait and caster. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, because that's a line I can tick over. Whilst I'm fishing the long line, I can just keep flicking balls of groundbait on that line. And that obviously also means that if Andy, on my right, catches on that pole line, then that means I've got that line covered as well. So, you know, whilst, you know, I was a little bit subdued last night, you know, when you look at the leaderboard and you're nowhere near it, it's festival fishing, it's weight festival fishing. Back home, most festivals in England are based on points, and that's a different ball game, you know. But there's pros and cons to all these competitions, you know. Points competitions, if you have a bad start, then quite often you can't ever get back into it because you're carrying too many points. However, in a weight competition like this, you know, I've had a really bad start because I've got the low weights. But if I have 3 good days now on fish, if I go to fish, then I can climb back up it. So that's why lots of people favour these weight festivals. It keeps the festival alive for longer, you know, and that's the beauty of this kind of competition. So if you want to see how the previous 2 days have gone, there are updates right here on this Fishing Live channel. If you want to have a look underneath this video, there are uploads from Monday and Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, and what I'm going to do today is that I'm actually going to give you a download after the match as well. Alright, so rather than wait for tomorrow to hear and see how we got on, I'm going to be giving you a download at the end of this video to let you know how we've actually gone on today. So I'm going to get a jacket on, get out there, get ready for battle, and hope that there's some big hungry hybrids out there waiting for me. Well, back in the room now, back in the lodge. We've just had some fish and chips and half of lager, but I'm sure I'm going to be having a couple more beers tonight. It's not fished anything like what we wanted it to fish. Certainly not like the killer D's that we know. However, my approach that has worked there before has kind of worked again, which I'm pleased about. So I've ended up with 10 kilo 600. Which is actually, it's won that top section, and it's actually second overall at Killer D's. The only peg that's had a bigger weight than that is peg 1, right down to my left, and he's had 16 kilos, so that's thrown up a great weight there. So yeah, I mean, all I've just basically done is I've fished down 1 hole. I've been quite aggressive, but to be honest, after 20 minutes, I'd only had 2 bites. Sorry, after 30 minutes, I'd only had 2 bites. And there were 2 small fish. Andy Leathers on my right had only had 1 bite, and he had 1 small fish, and that was it. That was when we kind of thought, this is just not going to fish how we want it to. We were definitely fearing the worst. But then after about an hour, I've just kind of changed a couple of things, and I've had a little run of fish, which was good. And then Andy's caught a few fish, and then that's it. And then it's gone quiet again, going into the last 90 minutes, and then with an hour to go, I've put some more feed in and just changed a couple of things again, changed the feeder, and I've had another little run of fish. So I've ended up with much better weight than what I thought. You know, I didn't know what I got. Andy thought I got about 5 kilo, and I thought that was about right, but they weighed much heavier than what I thought. I've had about five hybrids in with that, and the rest were some nice plump roach. I've had quite a lot of perch as well, some nice perch. But that's it. I really caught in runs, and I've just fished down that 1 hole and just worked 1 line, and that's what I've done there before. So a little bit better. So that puts my total now onto about 16, maybe 17 kilos now for the competition, which is, you know, a long way off the pace. But like I said before, you can only catch the fish that are in front of you. So I'm really pleased to have caught that weight there, especially in those conditions. But it's just a shame it's not really fished like Killer D's does, you know, for whatever reason, I don't know. Because obviously this is a weight competition, and whilst I'm pleased with what I've done compared to anglers around me, obviously I would have wanted that to have been a bigger weight if possible. But there we go. So we've got 2 days of competition left now. The current overall standings haven't been published yet, but as soon as they are published, within probably the next hour or 2, I will upload them onto this Fishing Live channel, onto the community tab. So where it says community on the home page of this screen, I will post the full results so that you can see how everybody in the competition is getting on. So thanks for all the best wishes. Don't forget, if you want to see more vlogs like this from these competitions and what happens over the next 2 days and our future competitions through the rest of this year, please give this video a thumbs up and like and subscribe to the channel, because that way you won't miss out on any uploads. We've got some fantastic competitions coming up later on this year. Lots of different venues, rivers, commercials, and natural venues and some major championships. And I've been enjoying updating you whilst I'm actually on site, still competing in the events. So thanks for all the great wishes. Don't forget, hit subscribe, and I'll look forward to letting you know how we get on again tomorrow.